What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, I host and co-produce conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization and Dove Men Care. And most Sunday afternoons now at 5 p.m., I'm hosting another epic conversation. This one's called Black Canada Talking. And Black Canada Talking is a live online event that provides Black Canadians the opportunity to give their takes and POVs on stories that are of importance today to them. Now, today we're having a special Black Canada Talking. We're going to be chatting about Emancipation Day and reconciling our Black histories. But before we go there, I always love it when the member of the Dr. Vibe family says, hey, you should do this, Dr. Vibe, you should do this. I say, well, come and join me. Well, I have Sarah Yongo joining us because she and an organization called Black History Ottawa are collaborating with the Dr. Vibe Show for this epic event. So I'd like to introduce Sarah. Hello, Sarah. How are you today?
Bonjour, bonjour. Merci beaucoup, Dr. Vibe. I'm going to start in French parce que je viens du Québec, and for the benefit of our francophone listeners. So before I even introduce myself, I'd like to acknowledge that the land on which I am speaking and participating in your show is traditional, unceded, and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. And I express my gratitude to them for being the custodians of this land for so long until Black settlers arrived. So j'aimerais vraiment reconnaître l'apport de nos peuples autochtones. So for Black History Ottawa, I'm the person who does the communications, the outreach, and the public relations and media relations.
Excellent. Fantastic. Yes. And on my end, I just want to give a short little background on Emancipation Day. And for those who don't know, it was yesterday, August 1st.
That's right.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And just a little background. On August 1st, African people across the globe celebrate Emancipation Day. It marks the day the abolition of the Slavery Act was passed, freeing enslaved Africans across the British colonies, including Canada. Now, interesting fact, if you're a Canadian, the only place that it's celebrated province-wise, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Ontario, the province that myself and Sarah live in. So with that short background, I'm going to hand it back to Sarah, where she's going to introduce our three friends for this conversation. Sarah?
Yes, and in fact, j'habite au Québec. I'm on the Quebec side of the river, so I don't live in Ontario. and I can tell you that in Quebec, they do not mark Emancipation Day. I can tell you that.
Thanks for watching. So, before we go any further, Sarah, one other thing. I say what you are wearing looks absolutely slamming on you.
You know, I have to represent Jamaica because Jamaica independence is coming up. I am not Jamaican, but I have a lot of Jamaican friends. And this is a traditional kente stole. This was made in Ghana. And I'd like to shout out Nana over in Westboro for getting me this special Jamaican kente stole. But I digress. So our three guests, they have in common the fact that they all have participated in initiatives to have Emancipation Day commemorated, one in the US, in Washington, D.C., and the other two here in Canada. I'll start with Rosemary Sadler. Rosemary Sadler is a historian, author, educator, and Black history expert based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And she has several publications to her name. Harriet Tubman, I have the book right behind me here. And the kids' book of Black Canadian history, which is great. And she's been a consultant and writer, contributor to various publications, including Black History, Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas. Now, the thing about Rosemary and why she's here is because, well, first of all, she's the past president of the Ontario Black History Society, and she was at the helm of that organization for over 2 decades. She has been behind several initiatives to get commemorations, including partnering with Councillor Paula Fletcher for the commemoration of the William Peyton Hubbard Park This was in 2016. Also in 2016, the historic recognition of Lincoln Alexander and Kate Livingstone, and they ended up on Canada Post stamps. And she also got a commemorative plaque for the AME church site in Toronto. And by the way, Rosemary also is a member of the committee, the commemorative stamp committee that puts out the Black History Month stamp every year. So a lot of the Black people that you've seen on those stamps, it's pretty much thanks to her. Next, we have Senator Wanda Thomas Bernard, and she's a former social worker and educator from East Preston, Nova Scotia. She's the first Black Canadian to have had an academic tenure position and to have become a full professor at Dalhousie University, that, by the way, hosts the chair in Black Canadian Studies. And her research there focused on anti-oppression and diversity. And on October 27th, much to our delight, 2016, Ms. Bernard was named to the Senate of Canada by Prime Minister Trudeau to sit as an independent. And at the time of her appointment, she was the chair of the Nova Scotia Advisory Council on the Status of Women. She's also, just so you know, a historical figure because she's the first African Nova Scotian woman to serve in the Senate chamber. There was another Nova Scotian before her, and that's the late Senator Calvin Ruck. And she was invited because she is the person behind Bill S-255. And that was an act to get Emancipation Day recognized across the country. Last but not least, Peter Haynes. Now, he has quite a lengthy thing, so I just want to make sure, yes. So he likes to say that he's a descendant of enslaved persons who worked at President George Washington's Mount Vernon and President James Madison's Montpelier, both in Virginia. He's been the coordinator for the annual Washington, D.C. Emancipation Commemoration educational program since the early 90s, and his lovely late mother, Loretta Carter Haynes, a distinguished educational activist, historian, and researcher. She spearheaded the DC Emancipation Day commemoration revival with an annual educational event series. And Peter has produced educational events with historians C.R. Gibbs and Vincent DeFrost and other partners. And I'm going to let him talk some more about his late mother's work and his work with DC. So there we go. So each of our panelists have 5 minutes to make an opening statement, which sort of gives our listeners and those watching sort of an idea of their initiatives. Can we start with Rosemary?
Sure. I'm just going to start. But before I do, I want to thank you for including me in this important discussion about Emancipation Day. And I'm familiar with Dr. Vibe from earlier days when he was just starting out. I certainly have had the privilege of working with Peter. I support Senator Wanda Thomas Bernard. And Sarah, of course, I'm familiar with you from before the realization of Black History Ottawa. So all of you have done phenomenal things, and I'm very proud to be on this panel with you. But just to give a bit of a mini historical overview, I began my journey on working to commemorate August the 1st as Emancipation Day soon after I had also started the journey to see about the formalization of February as Black History Month. So in terms of Emancipation Day, I, in cooperation